And we're the boys.
Yeah.
Oh, we're the boys.
Boys.
We're the boys.
We're the boys.
We're the boys.
We're
And
the
Anna
boys.
is a boy, and Mitch is a boy, and Chris is a boy, and Tim is a boy. And together we're the boys and the boys.
Hey guys, welcome to podcast 6. And
This is our first time doing a podcast today.
yeah, definitely. This is crazy. So Tim, we went to Bible school, him, his now wife, and myself, and we went to Indiana, and the people there has started a business of making this nitro coffee, which is like going super viral around places. And anyways, super delicious flavored coffees. It's more like juice type of thing with lots of caffeine. And he put some in some bottles and froze it since last year, June, July.
Bible school.
Yeah.
Bible school.
And he
Right
just
before leaving, I was like, man, I want some of this stuff at home. Like, I will not regret a long time down the road pulling it out of the freezer, and it's pink, strawberry flavored. It literally tastes like strawberry juice, and but it's got like this one bottle has the amount of caffeine of like 3 coffees. Like 3 big cups of coffee.
No wonder you like it.
And like, it's legit.
Okay, but it's the thing they haven't told you is it's pink. It's pink. Okay, that's a very important detail.
It's strawberry. It literally tastes like strawberry juice.
Wait,
smell
but
it.
you tasted it. How did it taste?
Like strawberry juice.
But it tasted good.
Yeah.
Even though it's a year old.
It doesn't even taste like. Well, it's been frozen, so it's like as if it never left the U.S. You can drink
That's
half the
amazing.
bottle if you want.
I'm about to go in, boys.
Oh, he's chugged half the bottle. Mitchell's about to get really high.
The throat is frozen. We have a person distracting one of our hosts. Actually, we should start by introducing the episode. Hello and welcome to the boys. That came way too late, although I think Chris said it already. So
We still have everyone: Mitchell, Tim, Sheri, Chris, and Luke.
Yeah, we got Luke. I don't know if he's like leaving or not. He's kind of half in, half out, distracting one of our producers. No,
I think he's actually going to buy a car right now.
But yeah, so
Never mind. He's going to live in an
yeah,
apartment.
it's Mitchell, Chris, Tim,
Apartment.
and Sheri. Now we're each going to say our names and say something bad. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Mitchell. That was all.
I'm Chris.
I'm Princess Penelope.
And Tim's also going to want to say something weird now. Like
And he's the pink flamingo.
The pink flamingo.
That coffee's getting
I'm the Pink Panther.
Oh. You're strong for a Pink Panther.
I'm Pink Floyd.
Oh yeah. I'm Pink Vanilla Milkshake. What?
I'm just the artist Pink.
And I'm still Princess Penelope.
Oh, look at it! All of us jumped on the train. All of us jumped on the bus. Like, I was like, this is going to be a serious podcast, and Sheri's like, no, I'm Princess Penelope.
I'm sorry, I did not know which. I was not cued into what the direction of this.
All right,
podcast
so this
was taking.
on this podcast, this is going to be our most serious podcast yet, okay?
Yes.
And we're going to talk about adult diapers for an hour.
Again?
But seriously, no laughing.
Oh, the song. The song is that.
Adult diapers.
Oh yes. Okay, so.
I don't know the song.
But the thing is, you totally, know the direction that you were taking.
All right.
Okay, so
You.
I'll set it up. Okay, so Mitch and I did this song called Bagel Bites to the tune of Edelweiss by The Sound of Music. And
She didn't say Adolf Hitler. She said Edelweiss.
Yes.
Adel.
It's a
Edelweiss
song
is
from
the
The Sound of
flower.
Music.
From The Sound of Music. So he had said, give me a song and I'll make up words to it. So I had said, okay, I am 16 going on 17, which is very a lovely song that Liesl sings to Ralph in The Sound of Music. And if you haven't seen it, then I'm sad for you because it's awesome.
Ralph sounds like a dude.
Ralph is a dude and Lise is the lovely lady. So, anyway, so Mitch, right on the spot, starts singing I am 16 going on 17 with his own special twist.
No, I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. It's just us talking. If it sucks, we can edit it out.
Now I think it's
No.
gonna suck.
It'll be
He's
great.
scared.
It was so
Scared that
funny.
it's gonna be so awesome that he'll have to leave it in there.
Yeah. So I started obviously with the thing, I am 16, going on 17. I don't know the rest of the words, but I am old enough to do what I want. I am an adult now. I am 21, going on 22, but I don't know what I'm doing. My life's a mess, I don't know what I am gonna do anymore. I am 29, going on 30, man, my life really sucks. Got a bunch of kids and I don't like them, what am I gonna do?
Oh, no.
I am 50, going on 51, now I'm really bad. I am going through a midlife crisis and I wish I was a woman.
I wish I had diapers.
And I want adult diapers. I am 70, going on 71. Now I am really old. I am in pain, just relieve me now, 'cause I don't want to live anymore. I am 95, going on 99. That doesn't make much sense. But at this point I can't remember anything, so it doesn't matter. I am 103, going on 104. At this point am I dead? I don't even know anymore, so I might as well stop the singing.
That was great. Yay.
You missed the
But you
plug,
missed the
though.
plug part.
That was
That was
got
funny
me.
because
That's why I said I can't do it.
no, it was great, but the original one was like I'm like 90 going on 91, and I wish they'd just pull the plug.
You
Right?
remember that?
And then when he hits 100 to 101, it's like I'm not even sure if they did pull the plug.
I don't even know if I'm dead.
Yeah, it was very good.
good.
Yay!
Yay!
Boy, it would have been much better if I actually had written down and made it a song and I knew the lyrics and didn't have to come
Yeah.
up with it on the spot, but now it's done for forever.
But the fact that you can do it on the spot is what makes it awesome.
Yeah,
None
like
of
you
us could
did
do
it.
that.
You changed some
Yeah.
of the words, but like
I
you
changed
did
all
it.
the words.
I know.
No,
but
you
that's
kept a lot
but
of
that's
it,
so
though.
cool that you can do that. I can't do that. I would be like, I am 16, going on 17, and
You know, maybe I had something to do.
would like to get married one day.
That's good, that's good,
but
let's keep
I'm
going.
too young, so I'll just
Have fun.
have fun and drink all my problems away.
And now drink it.
Okay, this is what we do, okay? We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again,
She meant
everybody.
coffee, everyone.
But now, I'm going to start with 16 going on 17. Chris can continue with 20 going on 21. And we'll go around the circle, building
Okay, I
up.
like it. I like it. I like
You want
it.
some?
So, yeah, he makes up 16 going on 17. You go 20, 21. I'll do 30, 31. Chris will do 40, 41.
Chris,
Keep
and
going
then
on
Tim,
circle.
and Chris, and Tim, and Chris, and Tim.
Yeah, Chris, you start.
Okay. I am Tim, and now everybody thinks they know me so well. I'm turning 21, and I wish I could still drink, but I have no money.
No money. he said.
Which is not true because I just saw his bank account and he totally has
And
money.
I'm the guy with no money. That's not true as well, but
Yeah.
I'm not making any money.
Wow.
Well, so why didn't
That
we
was
start with Chris?
That was,
why didn't
That
we
wasn't
start
very
with
good.
Why didn't we start with someone that knows how to sing in the spot?
We were trying to point out that Sheri called you Chris. That was what
That's
we were trying
it.
to do.
That's the entire reason.
That's
we're
the entire
we're
reason.
going around the
All right.
circle.
I did.
That's the entire
I
reason why we
accidentally
started
did.
with you.
yeah.
Okay, ready? We're gonna do
Oh,
this
yeah.
for real.
All right.
And will it work?
This is serious. We'll
Well-
see. If you don't end up hearing this, we edited it out.
No, you'll hear this either way. But
I am 16, going on 17. Time to go get a job. At least that's what my mother tells me. Whoa, man, she is such a snob.
what age?
21. 2021.
Wait, no.
I am
21 going on
22.
22. I don't know what to say.
What to do?
Singing all day. I am here. Back to Sheri.
There we go. I am 29 going on 30. My liver is starting to hurt because I spent my 20s drinking my life away. Now I need to grow up and have kids before my uterus collapses.
I am 39 going on 40. Man, I wish those kids would just behave. I've drunk my liver away, but I'm still giving it a good old hay. I'm still making them pay.
There you go.
I am 49 going on 50, but I can't talk no more. I was smoking throughout my youth, and now my voice is always sore.
I am
59 going to 60. 59 going to 60.
We're just going every 10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am 50 going on 60. What? No.
I'm 59
That
going
don't
on
make
60.
no
Going
sense.
on 60.
I
My
am
brain's
59 going on 60. I don't know what to say. All the time I'm sitting here singing
My life away.
I am 69 going on 70. All of my kids have left. Nobody talks to me. I'm lucky if I get a Christmas card. But I still knit my best.
My bed. I am 79 going on. Is that it?
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah.
79 going on 80. Man, I sure am getting old. I think I've lived a half decent life, but I haven't even traveled one bit.
I am 98 going on 99. Now I know I jumped ahead, but I did that so that I could go and say something a little different. 99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer. You take one down, pass it around. 98 bottles of beer on the wall, 98 bottles of beer on the wall.
100 going to 101.
Take one down and roll them around. One bottle of beer on the wall, one bottle of beer on the wall, one bottle of beer. Take one down, pass it around. 0 bottles of beer on the wall, 0 bottles of beer on the wall, 0 bottles of beer. Someone threw up inside of a cup. 1 bottle of beer on the wall, 1 bottle of beer on the wall, 1 bottle of beer. Someone threw up inside of a cup. 2 bottles of beer on the wall.
2 bottles of beer on the wall.
5 minutes later.
Yes.
Then we got onto the boat and it drove away. And the cops were like, oh, those kids.
I didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah, and it was crazy.
And guys thought he had us under control. And then my old feet kept me running.
And then we hit the old man on the water again.
Man, that was me, bro. I fell out.
I don't know what's more disturbing for me,
yeah.
like being a part of this conversation or understanding this conversation. Like,
And then
Yeah.
like, oh man, they're crazy. You're like, I'm crazy.
yes, exactly. I'm like, these guys are weird, and it's like, oh wait, I understand.
You got the whole conversation, right? You got my whole story?
I am 100.
You're like, let's revert to something I know.
Please, God, just pull the plug. I'm so unhappy, and I just need to die now. Jesus, please take me home.
I'm 200, going to 201. Technology now reels big. I can stay alive longer, but it still doesn't relieve the pain.
I'm 300 going on 301. Technology save the day. I am alive now. But not later. I don't know. I am alive now, still going for a run. Now it's going to Sheri.
Nice. I am 400 going on to 401. I finally have met the end. Too bad I have to sit in my poo. I wish someone had invented adult diapers.
And I am 500
Oh,
going
geez.
501. Man, life is great. They invented adult diapers and a system that keep me nice and healthy.
I'm 600, going on 601, and I finally invested into the very legitimate business that's called Peas, Poops, and Periods. And everyone together. Poops and Periods.
That was an amazing
No batteries included.
ending. Yes. And for that reference to Peas, Poos, and Periods, please refer to our podcast called
before this one.
Peas, Poos, Periods, and Pranks.
Woo!
Yes.
Well, now
Now you have
that
to name
we've
it that.
officially grossed everyone out.
Yes.
Either someone's listening to this going, this is genius, and I'm listening to this like, this is a huge mess. What am I doing with my life?
Yes.
Why
Yeah.
am I liking this?
More accurately, what are they doing with their life?
But you know what? This could be really, we could actually really be benefiting people, because if they listen to this and they're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing with my life? I need to turn it around.
taking
Like, my life is so pathetic.
But at
and
least
I'm
I'm not
really
that
These
bad.
pathetic pumps
Exactly.
on the radio.
But
See, I
I
was going the
cannot
opposite.
end up like that. I need to go back to college. I need to get my degree. I need to get a job. I need to get my ducks
Are
in a row.
you joking
And
me?
then
Go
what?
back to college where you can just listen to more of us because you just got tons of homework, you can't do anything with your life?
And you're gonna
Or like
obviously-
they get out of college and get a job and get a life.
I sort of feel that we're doing a community service.
See,
for
I was going the
planet.
opposite direction. I was
Oh,
thinking
okay.
that there was gonna be someone like, I've wanted to wear adult diapers my entire life.
Yeah.
Finally, there's people who make me feel confident enough
Yeah,
to do it.
That's right.
And they come in 3 different colors.
We'll save your life if you want adult diapers. Just come and call us and we'll send you a free package of 3 colors.
Yeah. But actually, we actually won't.
We won't. Or will we?
Or wild.
Well, we might, but we can't promise unused.
That is nasty.
You know-
Please rent our adult diapers now.
Peas, Poos, and Periods, or Peas, Poos, and Periods, it's a
Rental
renting
service.
Oh
But
no!
I
man,
am
you know-
wearing one.
You know you've gone too far when 3 out of 4 people are like against you at that point.
When we all chime in unison.
Oh,
No! Yeah. That was rough. That was rough to hear. My ears are starting to bleed a little bit. But also very entertaining. So I love you guys. This is good stuff. I mean, I'm highly entertained, so that's the important
Man, when our friends, well, not Mitchell because he's always like this.
He means I
But
don't have
Tim and
friends.
Tim and
Yeah,
I,
because you don't have any other friends
You're
besides
not a
us.
friend.
Yeah.
Tim and I, when our friends
breath.
listen, if they ever listen to this, they'll be like,
Can I have a little bit?
"Wow, I never saw that side of Tim and Chris," because we're usually so quiet
You
and
didn't see
whatever.
the-
and
Yeah,
here
they'll
we're-
be like, who are these people?
exactly, and here
This
we're
is
like
not
so
Chris Hawkins.
outgoing and
No,
comfortable.
that's
like,
brilliant though, because then they like go, we're like, oh, check out this cool podcast. They go look it up. They're like, is that Tim? And they're like, no, that's not Tim. Tim would talk
Chris
about
was
that.
talking, Mitchell.
Yes.
I talked a bit.
Aw.
Yeah,
No,
you
please
keep getting
continue.
interrupted though.
Yeah.
You've been interrupted
I'm a
every
fan.
single time
You
you
do
spoke.
get interrupted, so please continue.
He's probably so used
No.
to it he doesn't recognize
He
it.
doesn't know what to do.
He's just
He's
like,
like confused.
What
now.
was I talking
like
about?
literally, you've been interrupted
Was I talking
every
to-
single time you spoke during every one of these podcasts.
Like right now.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
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 What was I talking about?
You're
You were
talking
Was I
talking
left-
about how people wouldn't even recognize you because
I
you're
finished.
normally like so quiet and like kind
already
of reserved in
finished.
public.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, still, you're like interruptedly finished.
Yes, but yeah.
People start speaking before you actually get out the last couple words.
I don't think any of my friends would be that surprised, to be honest, because I'm kind of
No, you and Mitchell are
Yeah.
both outgoing. That's
How
the
dare you.
difference. Tim and
Yeah.
I are all very introvert.
right. Just how dare you?
I'm a huge introvert.
You are not an introvert.
Dare you?
No.
I'm not an introvert around you.
It's true.
So let's.
He's actually an introvert in real life.
Yes, I was actually
This
going
is
to
like
ask.
He's completely quiet around other people. It's just around us that he's.
Is that true?
It literally. Okay, the
It
first
was.
time I introduced him to my youth, I thought he was gonna fit in great. Like, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's so free-spirited.
And then he
I
just-
thought that was him, and it is him, but that's not like him outside, right?
Really?
And-
That's
and
fascinating to me.
Literally, he sat on the couch quiet the first time, and I thought he was getting along great. But I had actually left him because I was like, I'm going to go spend time with everybody because I know them. And I thought he was going to get along fine. And he left, and he's like, you ditched me. Like, I was quiet the entire time on the couch. But, like, he actually, for almost every time I took him there, he wasn't able to talk with anyone because he was so quiet.
Really?
Yeah.
So, like,
I thought
what
he would have
about-
made friends with all of them and been crazy, but...
Yeah. So now, like, the way that I know you, and the way that Chris and Tim know you, is that now how most people know you? Like, would you say you're more outgoing than not?
He's
I'm
less of a going
I'm more outgoing than not,
Right.
but when I'm around new people, I
Right.
usually am not as outgoing or
Right.
even really outgoing at all.
Right.
But see, it all stemmed from my childhood.
I'm actually genuinely interested to hear
So
this.
okay, let me go into this because
Yeah.
I actually have a story that one day will probably be an autobiography that no one reads. So what happened is I was really young and I was always super shy when I was young.
Right.
Like my earliest memory is when I was like 4 years old, and I was with my mother at the old IGA in Fort Erie,
Right.
which you guys probably don't know. And so I was there, and I remember these two ladies were like, "Oh, look at the little kid," and I literally ran behind my mother. Like I remember that happening.
Wow.
But yeah, so I was always really shy. But what happened is I went to school in grade 5 because I was homeschooled before then for the first 4 grades.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't even have kindergarten.
Wow, you skipped kindergarten?
Mhm.
You're a genius.
Oh, you're a bad boy.
I'm a bad boy.
I skipped kindergarten.
And so what happened is you think that'd be good boy because you're like, oh, I skipped because I'm smart, but I just didn't take it.
Yeah, that's right. Which
But
makes
yes.
you bad.
So grade 5, I go to school for the first time, and up to that point, I didn't really have any friends,
Okay.
so I didn't know how to be around people.
Because now, when you were homeschooled, did you find it difficult, like even just going to the park and places where you interacted with other kids your age? Did you find it difficult?
I didn't go to parks and interact with kids.
Really?
I
So you really didn't know anyone outside your
I didn't
family?
really know anyone else. Like, the
Just
only
not
people I
just
knew were people who were like, oh, we went to the YMCA. That's one place where we did
And
go.
did you have a church?
We had a church,
Okay.
and I met different people there, but it was mostly like an older people's church, so every
Okay.
once in a while there'd be like kids there. But
And
I
there would
never
be that
really.
little old lady that's like, here, have a caramel, Mitchie.
Yeah, no one was that nice in my church. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
In case they're watching, that's the
yeah.
only reason.
But yeah, like I never really got any close to any of the kids who were there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so when I first went to the school, I was super shy and didn't say anything. And every single, what seemed like, I guess, every single kid there, with the exception of like one, didn't like me for some reason. And I actually had a terrible experience at this school for that reason.
So who was the one kid that liked you?
His name's Justin.
Okay.
I'm not really close to him anymore. We kind of like fell apart. That
Right.
kind of happens a lot to me. Like Tim's the only person I haven't like drifted away from.
Right, right.
So I have to blame myself at that point.
Right.
But yeah, like Justin, like he was friends with me.
Okay.
I don't really remember much of what we did together, but he was a
But
friend.
he was your friend.
Yeah, but most of the other people either didn't notice or bother with me, which isn't their fault. I mean, didn't talk to them because I was shy. And the other people actually like were negative towards me, so it was a terrible experience. So what happened is I was like confused because I'd never been around kids, and I didn't really talk very much either.
Right.
So I was like, why don't these kids like me? Like, why am I not liked?
Right.
So the next school I went to was NCCS,
Right.
and when I went there, the first thing I did was like study behavior. I specifically watched what kids did and the things they found like funny and what like attached them together, and that's where I developed my sense of humor.
So he's a
I-
pleaser.
Nice.
Is that?
I-
Have you done the test? Have you done the test?
No.
Okay.
So I specifically like developed a sense of humor so that people would like me,
Mm-hmm.
and like according to like the type of things they would find funny, and like soon I became like one of like the most liked person at the school. Like everyone there liked me, and I had tons of friends, and it was great. And that's where I got my sense of humor from. That's where I kind of got my outgoingness from.
Mm-hmm.
But then I went to a new school,
Okay.
and so then I was also quiet because I was studying behavior, trying to figure out this school and what makes this school laugh. Because humor is very different amongst
It's
different
super
circles.
subjective, yeah.
Exactly, and so that's why in every new scenario, up to like maybe a year ago or even like 3 years ago, when I'd enter into a new situation that I don't know what way to be so that people will get me quicker. Because like I didn't develop my own personality. Like at a point I had to go, am I funny because that's a part of who I am? Or am I funny because I specifically act a certain way in front of people?
Right, and that's actually a thing. It's called personality mirroring, where you watch the behavior of other people and then mirror it. As
well, the thing is, I wasn't acting like anyone else. There's no one half as funny as I was. I'm just saying, I'm a genius. It's just that I was specifically changed how I acted based off of what I thought people wanted.
Right, I gotcha.
So pleaser.
Exactly.
But I don't think I'm actually a pleaser though. But what happened was, eventually, like when I went to college, I had to figure out who I was and what part of myself I liked, what parts I didn't, and I was like, well, I'm who I am, so I'm going to be that person. So, and now I'm more confident around people. Like I'm cool with like going up to people and like being like yo ba do or whatever.
Right.
But I definitely am not like this around everybody else. Like I have to be really comfortable around you to be like this.
Sure.
Or like if Tim's around, then I can be this way around pretty much anybody. But but if I'm like on my own.
Yeah.
Then lots of times, that's why I said I'm an introvert, even though you're like, no, you're not. I'm like, oh, I totally am.
Really?
Because I actually, like, struggle to be around people, especially new people. Like, the one thing I hate the most is small talk. Because I can't do it, and it seems so pointless.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, weather's important, I guess.
I've gotten used to it as a social skill, but I don't enjoy it. I'd way rather, like, have a random conversation about silliness or a really like a D&M, which is like a deep and meaningful conversation. I struggle with just, oh, how, what do you do? And those sort of like socially acceptable questions. Like, it's hard to get past that with new people.
Totally.
Yeah.
I didn't like that type of stuff because I was like, you're asking a non-question. You're not asking to know the answer. You're asking for the sake of asking a question, for the sake of speaking, and then them speaking to you.
Right.
And that type of thing. But I think I'm started to look at it in a different way.
Right.
Of being like, this is a way to get to know people.
Right.
And so instead of being like, oh, how are you today? It's more like, tell me about yourself. Like that type of thing.
And you know what? That's a really good point, because one thing that I've learned in my own personality development is learning that a really good way to connect with people is to ask them questions and to try to draw them out and express interest. So when you ask a question sincerely, you look people in the eye, and this is something I've learned through my teachings with Scientology. No, joke.
If you didn't hear the previous podcast, you're probably like, what?
No.
Scientology? What kind of a podcast am I listening to?
No, but it's true. Like if you ask people questions, like and not just like the standard norm questions, but like, and once you find a common ground, even something as simple as a TV show or a sport or something, and you're like, you find a common ground, but you have to ask questions about the person, express interest, because every single person likes to feel valued. And so if you're because I know even when I'm on the receiving end of somebody asking me a question, I'm like, oh, they're genuinely interested in what I have to say. I mean, you can tell when it's insincere and when it's authentic. When someone genuinely asks me and I can see that they're interested, and I'll give you a really good example. Like Brent, who works at the office, he's the financial officer for the business that I work for. And when I told him that I was swimming in a triathlon, like I told him this like months ago. And like not every single time he saw me, but I'd say like every other week, he's like, so how's your training going? Like how are you doing with your swim time? How are you? Because that was a common ground. He used to be a swimmer, and so he understood about swim techniques and good times and stuff. But he would make a point of asking me, like probably about 6 or 7 times over the course of like 3 months, he would check in with me to see how I was doing. And I'm like, that makes me feel valued, that I've in some way been interesting to him. So I think when you can make somebody feel like what they're saying is important, and even frankly, like even right now, you making eye contact with me and engaging me, I feel like what I'm saying to you is more important than it is to Tim and Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Chris
We
is
set up this
Let's
on
example.
his-
this entire example so that we can point out what Tim and Chris are
See, there
doing.
you
Tim
go.
and
Just to
Chris
hit it
are
on
both in
there.
their
Now we can
computers.
put our computers away because the
They
example's
were both
done.
in the computers, and it's like it's trying to talk to Luke when he's on his phone. It's like, you know, and I'm not like trying to point anybody out. I'm just saying, you and I are having a conversation. We're making eye contact. I listen to you. You're listening to me. So I feel like what we're saying to each other is causing a bond in a relationship that Tim and Chris really aren't a part of, because I feel like they're not paying attention, even if they are.
Even
But
if
they're
paying
not-
total attention.
There's no eye contact. There's no dialogue. There's no. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The thing
So
is,
it's like
I
value is so important, and once you can tap into that way to make people feel valued, and that's why I don't like cell phones at the table, because that is such a quick way to disconnect from people.
It's totally true. And parents, we grew up as
he
parents.
says sitting on his
I
computer.
know.
Yes, I totally agree.
And our parents are like, "Oh, you can't have that cell phone at the table." And then then you're like, "But like it's just a text message." And then literally I forecasted this. Okay, I was 12 years old. I told the foreshadow.
Yes.
I foreshadowed this when I was 12 years old. My parents were like, "Hey, you like put your cell phone away. You're not allowed cell phones at the table. Like, give that to me." And I was like, "You guys are going to get cell phones when they are useful, and you're going to use the justification, the fact that they are useful for you to sit at the table and use them, and I will be sitting at the table at some point in time and be like, I don't want to be on my cell phone because it's my cell phone and his computer's at the table, and you're going and like literally it happened. Like 2 years ago, I was sitting at the table. We had like, I think it was like my grandma, my grandpa, my mom, my dad, and like you, and like everybody was at the table, and all of the older people above 25, everybody above 25 was on their cell phones at the table, like meh 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 meh, and I was talking to them, and like there's meh meh meh.
That's so interesting.
And then I sat back and I was just soaked in the moment. I was like,
Yeah.
it happened. I'm not using my cell phone at the table because I'm like, no, and it's time to eat. And I even told my dad that right then.
That's I hate. My sister loves being on her phone, and like whenever we go to my grandmother's house, my grandmother's like, "Don't be on your phone. It's rude."
It is
Which it is
Yeah.
to a certain point, because sometimes you are having a conversation elsewhere, and since they don't understand that, they kind of just see you as ignoring them and not the fact that you're engaged in another conversation.
Yeah.
But because if you're talking to someone else who's in the room, they wouldn't mind.
Right.
But because you're talking to someone else on the phone, they just don't understand that you're having a conversation. They just see it as the action of not conversating with them.
Right.
But I hate it.
Yeah.
When we're watching a movie, I'm like, well, shit, watch this movie. It's so cool. And then we sit down, and then she's on her phone. Like, whenever I look over and she's on her phone, I'm like,
it's like you're not even.
I'm
paying attention.
putting this on because I want to know how you like it and how you react to it.
Yes.
And you don't seem to care enough.
Yes.
Because you're deciding your phone's more important. And then
Yes.
and then the times when I'm specifically looking over to be like, oh my goodness, what does she think of this part? Because I know this part's coming up, and she's on her phone.
Totally
I'm like,
feel
man.
you. And that's when it comes down to value, because you can make someone feel valued or you can make someone feel disvalued.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that situation, like she completely unintentionally, I'm sure, made you feel disvalued because she's not interested enough to look up at the screen. She's more focused on her phone. You know, and so it's the same way. If you can make someone feel important and you can make someone feel unimportant, you know, by your body language, your mannerisms, your behavior, and how you engage. And I really think it's really important, and that's why, like, I try to ask questions that not only will engage somebody, but that I'm genuinely interested. Like when I asked you, tell me about that, I really wanted to know, because I'm not like, oh yeah, go ahead, Mitch, oh me yawn. Like I actually genuinely wanted to know. And I hope that you could read that through my body language, because I was looking at you, I was asking you questions. And so I think that is really the foundation of good communication is two things. One, being able to listen and engage and ask follow-up questions so the other person knows you're paying attention. And then then on the other side of that, the other person, if they feel like they're being valued, they're going to be more willing to be vulnerable. So if you have those two components of the person listening and the person who's talking being willing to be vulnerable, that's where intimacy grows.
It's true.
Because if you don't feel like you're being valued, you're not going to share something about yourself that you think the other person's not interested in.
Yeah, that's very true. I found that a lot in my life, where my family's been uninterested in me. But I've kind of turned that into something bad in my life, because I'll be listening to someone who's talking about something that I'm not at all interested in and like bores me.
Yeah.
But then I'm good enough at seeming like I'm listening that I like can completely drown them out, somewhat unintentionally, or I'm just thinking about something or whatever, and then they think I'm listening. And I'm like nodding, I'm like, oh, and then they say something that sounds like somewhat of an end, like interesting. Like that's like I developed ways of like saying and seeming it like I'm engaged, but that like one that brings up people to talk to me about things that I don't really care about, but also it's kind of like rude, obviously, because I don't care about it, but I'm pretending to be.
Right.
But in that same way, like lots of times, like you talked about like talking about something that someone's interested in, and then them being like, oh, well, I'm really happy you're interested in it, I'm going to talk about it. The problem is, like, I have cousins, and they, like, whenever I go over, they talk about, like, oh, so you're doing your film thing, how's that going? But the problem with that is, like, that tells me two things. Like, you think, like, oh, they're interested. But for me, the thing I realize is, one, that's the only thing they know about me.
Yeah.
Therefore, that's the only reason why they're bringing it up. And two, they're asking about film without anything more specific because they don't know about it.
Right.
So literally anything I could talk about, they wouldn't understand or wouldn't care about.
And so their eyes
literally,
it's
it's one of the things of just talking, like to say hi, how are you, but not caring.
Yeah.
Where they just want you to go, oh, film's good, and that type of thing. They're not actually that interested.
Right.
And that's what I've found a lot
Yeah.
and that's why I have a problem talking about like my interests in film with other people.
Right.
Because most people don't understand or don't care enough to understand.
Right. Yeah.
So if I'm like, oh, let me tell you something cool, like I can't go in depth in the way I want to.
Right. And that's the thing with finding people who have common interests and common ground.
And that's the coolest thing about going to college for a subject.
Yeah.
Like when you're used to people not being interested in the same things as you, and then you go to a college specifically for that thing, and then you have tons of other people who all love the exact same thing, and you're like, oh my goodness, there's people like me!
Yeah.
And that's why I think it helped me learn to kind of become more of myself.
Sure.
And figure out who I am, as well as like being okay with like being outgoing around people, because I think that made me realize, like, oh, it's not that I'm just weird and everyone else is normal, it's that there are some weird people like me who think in the same way, in which case that made it easier for me to be myself around people I don't really know, because it made it so that I know that I'm not the only one, therefore I have a good reason for being like this, which is that people who are interested in the same things as me are like this, right? So I brought it back.
Now, I have a question for you that I genuinely would like to know the answer to because I'm curious.
Well, how was your film thing?
Yeah, how is that film project that you're working on?
Well, it's not a film project, but okay.
So what's the story behind your top hat? Was that an intentional choice to be eccentric and to be the guy with the top hat, or was it just something you wore and liked?
Are you talking about the green?
Is it a good one? I don't have a green top hat.
No, the picture. The picture of like him in like a leprechaun type of thing.
Yeah, but
are you talking about
somebody
just,
had color
you,
Photoshop.
Yeah. Like the,
so
well, I'll talk about that picture
so he's
first.
Talking about, she's
I'm talking about your top hats in general.
Yeah.
Because for several years you were like the top hat guy.
Yeah,
I'll talk about that, but I want to talk about something a little first about the green top hat.
Okay.
Because it's not actually a green top hat. It's the person colored it green. But what happened is there's this person who I was friends with. I didn't know them super well, but the first time I met them, they saw me in my top hat. They're like, "Man, that's crazy. I want to get a picture of you that like looks really good." And then I did that face, like that creepy, like,
leprechaun face.
and so they took a picture of it, and they're like, "I'm gonna like make the hat look taller, like color it green, and then make your beard more red." And they did that, and that's now like my favorite picture that I have.
It's amazing.
Although
the one with you in the brown top hat where you have the gun.
that's a really good
one too.
I love that was Chris.
One.
Chris took that picture.
That is good.
But the thing is, like the reason
You took that picture, Chris?
Yeah.
Oh man,
he took a picture
so
of me.
Great.
Yeah, but the reason I want to bring up the topic is because the person who took the picture, his name's Mike. So I know so many mics. But maybe a month ago now. But while I was in France, I found out about this. He actually fell off a cliff and died.
Oh, Christ. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, I knew that person. Like, that person took this picture for me, and it's the picture I care about the most, and that type of thing. So at that point, it wasn't my profile pic, because I'd gone through some of them. So I remade it my profile pic and kind of wrote rest in peace, Mike, and that type of thing. But I was like, man, this person took this picture that means the most to me out of every other picture.
Yeah.
They are they're gone now, and that type of thing. I that type of things happened before, but I guess in that context, it made me think about it more than it had in previous years, because it was now something that was important to me that correlated with this person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But going to the top hat thing.
Mm-hmm.
Getting on a more fun topic. I don't know. If I don't know if I think I partly did it because it was a crazy thing to do, but I partly just did it because I like top hats.
Okay.
And that sounds like a simple answer, but I don't actually know which one it was more of.
Right.
All I remember is at one point I just started loving what top hats looked like.
Right.
And it was in high school. And I told the people in my high school, my friends, I was like, if anyone here buys me a top hat, I'll literally wear it every single day.
Right.
And they're like, ha 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 ha. And so I didn't get a top hat at that point. I was poor enough that I couldn't have bought one for myself, and I didn't know where to get them.
Yeah.
But then at one point I went to college, and I forget if I said the same thing there or whatnot, but what happened is the first year around Halloween, everyone was like, oh, we should go and buy costumes for a Halloween type thing. So we went to Valley Village.
Yeah.
And I found a bunch of these hats. And I was like, oh my goodness, there's a top hat. I can finally buy myself a top hat and wear it every single day.
Yeah.
And so part of me was like, oh, wearing it every single day would be a crazy thing. And but at the same time, I said I would do it. And I love it.
That's why?
It's because it was a Halloween costume that just stuck?
Well, I didn't even buy it to be a Halloween costume. I didn't wear a Halloween costume.
Right.
I just bought it because I really liked it and I wanted to wear it.
Right.
So then I bought it, and the first day wearing it into school, it was weird because I was like, man, I don't know if this is going to go over well.
Yeah.
Because people might be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is when I wore it, everyone was on board,
Right.
except for the person who was closest to me at the time. And they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What is this supposed to be?
Yeah.
But then after that, I literally did wear it every single day
Yeah.
because I liked it so much.
Yeah.
And everyone was so on board that if I wasn't wearing it, they're like, where's your top hat? And that type of thing. And
Because you are the guy, you're the guy in the top hat.
I literally
right?
became the one who wears top hats. And they're probably confused because they're like, what top hat? What's happening? But yeah, and so then I went back the next year and I got another top hat and that type of thing. And so that's where I started doing that more and more, and that's where it came from. But it started from this place of me just liking top hats and being like, if I ever got one, I'd wear it every single day. And
so it wasn't an intentional thing to be like, okay, I need to set myself apart. I need to be eccentric. I need to.
See, I think that was inside of me.
Yeah.
I think that is the reason I like them, but I don't think that's the reason I wanted to buy them. I don't think it was like, I'm buying this so I stand out. I think it was, I like this because I'm the type who would want to stand out.
But it's gutsy to walk into school on
I was
day
very worried at first.
wearing a top hat because that is not something people typically do.
And now I'm fine wearing it anywhere, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Although, what I will do is, if I'm with new people or people that I'm going to church with or something, since I don't know if they would be comfortable with people that they know and look at them a certain way seeing me in a top hat, I'll say to them hey, I don't have to wear a top hat if that makes you uncomfortable. Yeah. But it's no longer about whether I feel uncomfortable or not.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But yeah, it's very. But you know what? Actually, you asked if it was it started as a Halloween costume. No, in fact, that's worse. Because I would wear a top hat every single day. Mm-hmm. So then every single Halloween after that, when there's a party and I show up in a top hat, they're like, oh, cool costume. I'm like, it's not a costume, it's my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. You don't need to dress up for a costume or anything.
Interesting.
You should have went without the hat.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
and I would say, and I could say I'm a normal person. People ha ha ha, everyone does that joke, but literally it'd be true.
Yeah. Yeah.
You would actually be dressing abnormal.
Yeah, I'd be not wearing a top hat, therefore this is my costume.
But yeah,
that's
where it came from.
There you go.
I don't know if it's that interesting, but yeah, that's where it came
from. It
from.
is interesting because I've personally, aside from you, have never met anybody who's walked around every single day wearing a top hat.
He's dedicated.
Like,
Although
I've never
I don't
seen
always wear it all the
anybody.
time now.
Yeah.
But that's because like.
And
But-
you switched
well,
up
from that,
hats.
I started-
Like, you
I
got
started-
the hat in France.
That got me. The more top hats I got, and I got like a second top hat, and I also got a cowboy hat, and I got
Yeah.
a fedora.
Yeah.
And from that, I started realizing that I really like hats that aren't normal. Because normal, like, baseball caps are boring.
Yeah.
Like, why is everyone got to wear the same thing? What's the point?
Yeah.
So that's why I started, like, wearing these crazy, like, fantastic hats. Because I was like, I like how they look. I like the old classic type look.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Bro.
why should I feel weird about wearing it? Like, just because it isn't normal.
Mhm.
And so that's why I started doing it. And then from there, when I went to France, I started getting more hats. I was like, hey, I could actually, like, start collecting hats now.
Mhm.
Because the thing is, I tried collecting stamps years earlier,
Mhm.
but I didn't like it because then everyone got super supportive and started giving me tons of
Yeah,
stamps.
yeah.
And essentially, I was like, well, the thing I liked about stamps is that I was able to, like, look at them, I was able to, like, have them, but once I have tons of them, I can't go through them all.
Yeah.
And also, like, it's just less important.
Sure.
And so collecting hats became more interesting for me because I could wear different ones. Like, suddenly
Yeah.
each individual one became more important because of
Right.
what they could do and how different they were. And the fact that I'm collecting them slower and over time would get more and more, right? And so now I actually have, like, at my house, well, my parents' house, like, we one time brought home this shelf thing that we were going to give to my mother, and then my mother was like, why don't you use it for your hats? So it's, like, sitting where the shoes are out in, like, the area where people enter, and it's just, like, all of my hats are, like, in different spots on it. So I actually have started a hat collection.
You actually have a hat collection. Now people are going to get super supportive of your hat collection and start buying you hats.
Although, see, I'd be fine with that, to be completely honest. But the problem is, because I got, and I don't think it's an actual problem because I do like wearing my top hat, but because I wore my top hat so much, I now have people being like, what, a cowboy hat? But you're supposed to be wearing a top hat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't fit into your norms.
Yeah,
I do what I want.
That's right.
But
You can change.
I do really like wearing
your-
top hats, but it's a little harder in summer because two
Sure.
out of the 3 top hats I have are like enclosed, and then
And
my head becomes a
suede.
sauna.
Yeah, for sure.
One day you'll invest in getting an air breathable
Yeah.
runners.
So here's
top
an
hat.
interesting question for the group.
Wait.
Chris wants
Oh, go ahead. Sure.
Do you have an umbrella umbrella hat?
No.
Oh my
Bro,
God.
I have an umbrella hat straight out of the movie with Evan Almighty, or not
Bruce Almighty?
Bruce Almighty.
It's so cool.
Oh my goodness, it's so awesome.
I love
You know what I want to get?
umbrella hats.
You guys know
Those
the
are
hat
so
that
great.
Wolfie always wore?
Yeah, I think
I want to get one of those. It's like a raccoon type hat.
Oh, yeah, they're
yeah,
so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So here's a question, although Chris can't be around to hear it, so Tim, you'll have to answer it. What would you consider something along Mitchell's line of the top hat, which is a bit of an idiosyncrasy? Something that is like...
If you want to send in top hats, feel free. Feel free. I will wear it and I will post pictures on Instagram every single day, and then
There
you
we
can be
go.
like, I did that.
But
You guys look
what
at
would you-
Chris.
Oh my gosh, this is where we need video. Because Chris is wearing a green and white umbrella hat that has a white band around his head, and it's fantastic. Would you ever wear that out in public? Would you actually have the guts to wear it?
Please do.
My guts are pushing the limit just here.
I'll tell you guys what.
That's awesome.
If I wear
love
my
it.
top hat, you guys can wear one of my other hats. Like Tim could wear his cowboy hat, you can wear one of my hats if you want, and then you can. Can I
What?
have it forever?
You're
Yeah.
giving it to him?
Yeah.
Oh my
Are you
gosh.
recording? Because I need to say, Chris just gave me his umbrella hat. I'm so happy.
You have it
Are
the
you
wrong way.
seriously giving him
what?
this?
Turn it the. There you go. Yeah,
Wow,
so it
okay,
comes out
I
way
gotta
forward.
take a picture of this. This is fantastic.
It jiggles.
OMG.
It jiggles.
Fantastic. He's doing a photo shoot here, people. You're a tiger! You're a tiger! Okay, this is awesome. So, I have a question for the group. Oh, see, once again, Chris is
Everyone
left.
is so distracted.
So,
Hey guys, we
Talking
should
about-
close the doors so we don't get distracted by the outer people.
let's just
Gentiles.
go
if you
around
will.
my question for the group was, what do you consider, like Mitch with his hats, it's kind of like an idiosyncrasy that's very specific to Mitch. So what would you consider something that you consider yourself to be a bit different than the norm? Like either in the way that you think or something that you wear or...
Okay, can I do it for them?
Yeah, sure.
Loves poop jokes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Chris is all about the poop. Absolutely.
Is dyslexic, but more so just forgets things.
Yeah, but that's not really an idiosyncrasy,
No,
though.
but here's the thing. Okay, you're right. You're right about the dyslexic thing. That was kind of a joke
And
on
I
the
kind
previous
of do
podcast.
want to hear what you think.
But the
your
forgetting
thing
things,
is.
100%. Because literally, you're the person who you're like talking about something. You're like, what was I saying? Like that's like your thing. Like if we
It's
were
like you
if we were
lose your train
characters
of
if we were
thought
characters in
pretty
a comedy, I'd be the guy who always shows up in a new weird hat.
Mhm.
He'd be the person who starts telling a food joke, and he'd be the person who forgets what's going on.
His isn't purposeful.
How dare you?
He doesn't purposely. Oh my goodness, what was I talking about?
Yeah.
Like we just don't remember what we were talking about. Like
yeah. So
But it's
give it
become.
some
My
thought.
point is, it's kind of become a character trait.
It's a character
kind of like
trait,
my
but
hat.
it's not
Mine would
necessarily
be like,
idiosyncrasy.
mine would be like,
Inventor.
well, let me explain everything.
wait, what is an idiom?
An idiosyncrasy is something that is like something that's a little bit odd, something that is really specific to you that you have not really picked up from anybody
I
else.
think that's old Tim.
Yeah, Tim is just an idiosyncrasy.
It's like,
He
what is
is.
Tim's idiosyncrasy? Tim.
It's Tim.
Tim. Yeah.
It's Tim.
What's your name? Some people call me
Tim.
But like, I think it. When I said that jokingly, but I think it somewhat is in reality because like your thing is that you have such like creative ideas of like, oh, this is how that thing could work. Like you think differently on how things could be made, and I think that's your thing. How you like
Tim is an
look
out
at
of the box.
out of the
thinker.
boxness.
Yeah. So answer that for yourself.
Yeah.
Like you haven't.
No, you can't take my answer.
Well, I would.
Say that I probably have so many.
Idiosyncrasy
Oh my
is-
goodness. You want an example of mine?
Yes,
yours?
yes, and we're not going to interrupt him, please.
You.
You don't know one, right? You're just still thinking.
He's waiting for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, at least one is with towels.
I was
don't
just
like,
gonna say that.
And Sheri and I were talking about this up at the farm, and when she was explaining to me what idiosyncrasy,
Idiosyncrasy.
whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, that I don't like using other people's towels, or I'll reuse a towel a couple times. I don't really care, I guess, how many times I use it, but I just like to think that it's clean. And I always fold it in half, and I use the outside for the top half of my body, and then the inside for the bottom half of my body, because I just don't like the idea of putting your junk in your face. Like, and imagine someone else using your towel or something, then like,
You don't know where it's
ugh, like,
I generally try to make my towels last and just use the same part of the towel for everything, and then the next time I have a shower, use the different part of the towel for everything.
how do you know which side?
Well, you by the tag,
Oh.
and then so you use
See, I
this
never
part
knew
and
someone
spread
was
that.
like me.
And so, no, I use that part just for everything,
But see,
including the
he-
junk. Like I wipe it everywhere.
He uses like the one side
That is disgusting.
on
I
his front
Like
and
you're
back.
wiping your butt with it, and like
And
putting
then
it
you
in
wipe your face.
I just grab the.
Oh.
I just grab the corner of the towel and wipe everything.
I know the same corner though, right?
Yeah, the
you
same
wipe
corner.
down and wipe.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, whatever.
Where see, like Chris is basically saying one side for the back and the other side for the front, so there's no mixing of fluids or body parts.
Kind of.
Well,
He's saying the stuff that goes on his
this
face
is
isn't
just
going to
the
be the stuff
top.
that
There's
goes
Yeah,
down
top,
your
and then
crotch.
there's
Yeah, yeah.
bottom. So
Oh, so it's not front and back; it's
So
top
that's
and
your
bottom.
weirdness.
top, yeah, the top.
Okay.
I wouldn't
Gotcha.
say that's weird. I
Private's
would say
enough for a
anybody who's
guy, I
picky
mean.
does
Yeah.
that.
Gotcha.
Well, that's why they make hand cloths. Like you use that for wiping the little bit of areas you don't want to spread around, and towels for the rest.
Let
So
me ask
that's
you,
actually
do you
what I
actually
meant.
use that?
Chris also doesn't like his
Not
And
at all.
hang it back up so everybody's washing their hands and then touching their face. And
Yeah,
they're
that's
like,
disgusting.
where did that come
I
from?
definitely never touch a hand towel. I'm like, I don't know what people do,
Yeah.
and I don't want to
Wipe up the like
use
mold
something.
and
See, I
filth on the
specifically
floor.
wipe my entire body with hand towels.
And then I put it back in case anybody else
Yeah.
needs it, you know?
Yeah.
So, I would say my idiosyncrasy is,
Well, that was
I
one right
can't-
there.
that's it. Like, I don't even remember what we're talking about. What were we talking
Idiosyncrasy.
about?
Things that make
I'm
us,
joking.
yeah.
But the fact that
I
you fell for
hate-
it proves it.
I hate when people touch me or talk to me while I'm eating.
Oh, that's
Oh yeah,
Right.
that's one.
Like
That is
if
a big
I'm
one for you,
eating,
yeah.
like I enjoy my food so much that if
Yeah.
someone touches me, I'm like, I'm going to set a nuke off right now.
Yeah.
Like I wanna freak out, and I'm not angry.
Right.
We should do a Theo
But
Foster
I
and
am
see if
like,
that came from
I'm
something.
like, I would really like it if you stopped touching me right now, otherwise I will leave.
See, both of you guys'
What about-
idiosyncrasies are so negative.
He doesn't even want you to talk to him while he's eating, which is weird because you eat the pizza with us, so that's different.
Yeah, but
But
I
I
wasn't
think it's
talking while, like I was
Yeah.
ignoring you guys. Like,
You
That's
really
nice.
like to enjoy your food, and this is where our whole sushi experience comes from because we're both similar that way. We want to
He's a
like
food introvert.
taste and feel
yeah,
and
if you were
experience
eating
the
while I
food.
was like, hey.
Yeah, no,
like,
I wouldn't
you're
like
like,
that
I'm
either.
going to kill you
I
right
wouldn't
now.
like that either. Like
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
if I'm trying to
I'd be perfectly
experience
fine.
my food, I just
I wonder if this
Yeah,
is where
exactly.
why it happens is because you make it into such an intimate thing while eating the
It
food
is.
Yeah.
that if someone else touches you, then it brings it to too much of an intimate.
or a reality where you're
Like
just
it's
trying
actually
to get
called a
lost
foodgasm.
on
Like
your
it's like a
But-
foodgasm.
but-
No,
guys,
yeah, it's
no.
a food.
And
no,
if
it
you're-
is a
if
food
someone's
gasm,
touching
and I
you,
need my
that's
food.
just-
Okay,
Ugh.
I tried to pick a few things that I don't need that people won't like. It won't get in the way of people if I
Right.
enjoy this.
right.
Like I want to eat food in like alone, not
Right.
really alone. Or sometimes I like to eat, and depending on the meal, I like to eat and talk about the week and like how we're gonna plan stuff. Like
Mhm.
depending on the meal or the
No.
time of the meal, it depends like what the mood is. But like sometimes if it's a really good meal, like I don't want to like. I'm not going to pay attention. Like I can't
Right.
pay attention. Like
Right.
I've tried to pay attention, and it makes me feel like puking. And I'm like, I just need to. I enjoy that moment,
Yes.
and it's not like I go and like, okay, no, I want us to go to Dairy Queen instead of CC Swirls, and that's the way it's
Yeah.
got to be, and that's the way I'm gonna
No,
enjoy it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not like I'm going to pick what's happening right now, and that's what I'm gonna enjoy. I let other people do that. Where
Right.
do you want to go? You can enjoy it. Pick the place you enjoy. I'm just going to enjoy the moment of me eating something.
And especially when it's something you really love. And I think that's why we have bonded over sushi, because I'm exactly the same way. I want to close my eyes and feel the taste and the textures changing on my tongue. I don't want somebody to be like, so, how was your day? Like,
And I'll be like,
yeah.
yeah, it was good till you talked to me.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I completely
I-
disagree. I mean,
Yeah.
eating's like pooping. If there's not someone there caressing you, what's the point?
Well, well, obviously we know his idiosyncrasy. I like to be caressed while pooping.
While pooping.
No, I can
yeah.
kind of
It's like someone
understand.
rubbing
I
my
can-
back.
I can understand.
That's what happens
wanting-
when cats live with you.
Oh my god! Imagine, like me.
I
just-
can't poop
im-
unless someone's there with me.
Imagine if I just walked in while you're in the middle of a poop and start rubbing your back.
Or rubbing your belly, not your
Okay,
back,
bro.
rubbing your
Get
belly.
away.
Like,
This is-
oh yeah, and then
You can do it.
Oh,
I've
wow.
done that.
I will say another thing that I found really interesting about Tim is you're really grossed out by compost. But
Me
like
too.
the funny thing
I'm
is,
getting over
a
it,
couple of
but-
years ago, Tim was working on this farm
Yeah.
that where he would come home every day. His hands would be covered in dirt and like probably goat
Poop and-
feces under his fingernails. And I was doing a lot of juicing, and so I had dumped the contents of the juicer, which was just like the fibrous parts of carrots and beets and red cabbage and stuff. And I had dumped it on the top of the compost. And all it is like chewed up, dried out like vegetables. And Tim was eating a sandwich that he had not washed his hands. He's eating a sandwich with his dirty, feces-covered hands.
But I didn't want anyone talking because that would ruin it.
And then I jokingly like took a little piece of like off the top. I didn't dig through the compost, but on the very top of the compost heap, I took a piece of like whatever the red cabbage was, and I put it in my mouth. And your whole face dropped. You were like, that is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, you're eating a sandwich with poop on your hands.
A poop-covered sandwich.
And all I did was take a piece
It's
of
different.
dried out cabbage from a compost bin, like a tiny little piece, and you were just like, like you literally looked like you were gonna throw up. You were so
Here's the
gross.
difference, okay?
was.
The poop. It's like not really on the hands. It's kind of dried. It's kind of like
And
it's
dry,
kind of, it's kind
dry
of like
kills the germs.
It's kind of like if you peed and then a tiny bit of peanut got on your finger. Like after an hour, it's barely there. Okay.
Like it's been wiped off on everything.
The food in the compost, that's fresh.
That's like fresh compost.
That's like liquidated
moldy.
and everything.
But
It
it's
wasn't.
dried vegetable.
She just like put vegetable scraps on top, so it
It
wouldn't
was
even,
from a juicer.
It would be touching the other stuff that she threw in there.
Yeah,
It wouldn't
it's
be
not
touching
like
other
it was
stuff.
like
poop, baby.
dirty chicken bones and stuff. It literally was just a heap
I
of.
would probably
vegetables.
rather lick my fingers.
See, yeah, no. Oh my gosh, like.
I'm with Tim on this one.
Okay, well, Chris,
I'm on
you're
the
with
even.
me. You're on the fence.
Like I understand
He would rather
when
he
you're all
likes both
dirty,
of them.
when you're all dirty and stuff, like you know your body's kind of just gets used to it type of thing,
Yeah.
and like
Like this is
like
the
okay,
dirt.
if
that-
there's a
this
chunk
is-
of poop on your hand, of course I'm not just
Yeah.
gonna eat that.
Exactly.
Like, okay, but the difference is you've been like working hard, you've been using gloves, all kinds of stuff, and like you know it's been worn away type of thing. It's not like you know it's
That's
it's
still
dust.
super gross.
Yeah, but you okay? Literally, there's some people that like you know to wipe their butt and they get like poop on the hands and don't wash their hands or whatever, so they go touching.
If you
no, but be real here.
That is
Wait,
so
wait,
disgusting.
wait.
If you itch
Hey,
your
hey,
bum
hey,
like
hey,
this,
hey,
not
hey.
even in the crowd, you just itch your
Just
bum
think
like
about,
that.
okay, guys, I'm gonna,
feces got on
I'm
your
gonna,
hand.
Sheri, I'm gonna teach
Why
you.
wouldn't you immediately wash your hands?
No, Sheri,
Yeah,
Sheri, no, Sheri,
every
Sheri,
time
let
you
me-
itch yourself, you
No,
got
Sheri, let me
feces
teach
on
you, okay? Let me teach you, okay?
Oh,
So it
God.
starts like this, okay?
I got cut
Your
off.
poop bum connects to your hand there. Your hand then goes to the wrist there. Then after you wash your hands, still got it on your wrist. And then you think you're okay, but
You
there's
wipe
also
your
a
mouth
little bit.
with your
And
wrist.
then you go and rub your face with your wrist. And then you go and rub your face with your fingers. And then you go and eat your food with your fingers. And that's how it
Everybody's
all...
gonna eat
Okay,
poop.
I would just like to say to any of the people that we have listening,
Left.
are you left? Yes. Are you like pro eating off the top of compost or pro eating dried poo?
No,
No.
you don't dry poop.
Whoa, that is
I
disgusting.
do not drink dried poop. Okay, there's a difference between
He doesn't
you go
drink
like
it,
this,
he eats it,
and
no.
you cannot see the dirt on your hand. Like it's
But
been
they're
fun-
still
okay,
there. They're
it's-
bacteria. It's
Bacteria
germs.
is on
But-
you right now
Okay,
in your
literally,
I know,
you
but
have more
you need to
bacteria
wash
in your
your
mouth than there is
hands.
on poop.
That's true.
I'm sorry. You need to wash your hands.
Sorry, but
You can't work at a farm all day and come home with like dirt under your fingernails and then eat a sandwich
I
and
disagree.
think that's okay.
That's okay.
But then feel grossed out when I take a piece of dried cabbage off the
I'll
top.
tell you.
Now, if I
Yeah.
had mixed up the compost
Yeah.
with like old orange rinds
You might
and
as
like
well have.
and like
No.
all kinds of moldy bread and stuff,
Yeah.
okay, I can understand that. But it was literally on the top of a heap of like just fibrous.
Tim's hands
Dried
don't
out
smell.
vegetables.
I'll
That
tell you
compost smells.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
Well, why
why.
is
I'll
that
tell
not-
you why. Okay.
All right.
I'll tell you why. The stuff that I was touching is stuff that is going.
In his mouth
you
anyways.
end up eating at some point in your life, and it gets on everything. The animals touch the handles. The
Animals
the-
touch to the handles.
When I come in the door, I open the front door handle. I go in, wash my hands. I come out and I touch the front door handle.
Sure.
I end up eating
And
it
the-
anyways.
Exactly.
So literally, it's something that at some point you've touched something that ends up re-dirtying your hands. You end up eating it. It's something that your system knows. My system knows this stuff. Okay,
'Cause
and
he
even
likes
while
to
I'm
eat.
working, if I splash in a puddle and some of it just is in the air and it gets in my mouth and I don't even taste it. I don't even have to taste it. Just breathing in the dust is bringing the bacteria in my mouth. And so your system knows it. So it's not even a problem for your system. If you have nothing on your hand, if you have the stuff on your hand that you can't even see. Now the compost has stuff that is literally food that, yeah, you've touched, but it hides in there and rots.
But I had literally just put it in.
Yeah, but everything underneath it is seeping up in the air. And the
Tim,
moisture,
that's bacteria then.
The moisture.
In the air.
Yeah. No, but it's not air that we breathe everywhere. It's air that's contained in that box.
Okay, if I had closed the container and like had it been sitting there for half a day, I agree with you. But I had literally just dumped out the back of my juicer. The compost container was still open. Yeah. And I just took a little piece off the top. It wasn't even in there for 10 seconds. Yeah. No, and your face turned white. You were completely disgusted. And I'm like,
oh, it's the idea of it.
Yeah, no, it was just the idea at that point. I would have. You're right. If I had a chunk of dirty poop on my finger, I'd rather eat the compost stuff that you took out because literally there was barely anything before, and then you piled so much new stuff on top.
Right.
It would have been fine.
I don't agree digging in the garbage to
No.
trash.
Yeah, but if there was like I saw someone do something more disgusting than that in the compost, and I was ready to like leave, but like. They literally, it was something where I put it in there and then they pulled it back out, like they opened the lid and pulled it back out later. And I was like, I don't know how you did that, but...
Interesting.
So guys, I'm going to sing a little song here.
Alright.
It's
already been an hour and 7 minutes, so maybe we should do that on the next podcast.
No. That.
Okay. So we're wrapping it up.
Because it has to do with the topic at hand.
Okay.
Because I ad-libbed this song and I don't know how it goes. Because I made it up as I went with Michelle. I'm going to do that right now too.
You got it.
So it goes like this. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Listen, it's just poo. Oh, it's just poo. Don't worry if anyone is listening when you talk about poo. It's just poo.
It's just poo. No, I can't get on.
What's the big deal? It's just poo. Oh, it's just poo. It's just. Don't you know about poo? 'Cause the other day I was in my house. I was just hanging out, and then I was like, oh boy, I gotta go to the washroom. So I went to the washroom, and I sat down on the toilet, and I was like, boy, this isn't gonna be good. And I went poo, but it wasn't normal. No, this was diarrhea, and it gets burning loud. It went over the toilet, it went over the floor, it got everywhere, and I ran out the door. But it's still just poo. Everyone does it. So I ran away, running out of the house, my butthole like a hose, everything coming out,
Oh my god.
filling up the whole house. Whoa.
That goes up and you will be.
But it's still just poo. Oh, it's just poo. What's so bad about poo? Why not talk about it? Why not have it? Doesn't matter if you're eating with this baby, but it's okay. Why so worried about poo?
Need some compost too.
I guess compost too. But just been talking about poo.
Just needs the compost.
What's the problem with poo? So I ran outside and through my neighborhood, being chased by an ocean behind me. It kept following me everywhere I ran. It was there and it was just a second behind, 'cause I was the one making it. If you're listening while we're talking about this poo. 'Cause everyone poos, so what's wrong with poo? Everybody poos, what's so bad about poo? Let's talk about poo, let's sit down with poo, let's get married to poo. Pickles not the one to do, but who cares about poo? Everyone, that's what we do. What's so bad? This is the podcast about poo. So thanks for listening.
And wash your hands, please, for the love of Muhammad.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Like I say, God.
Please download this and listen every day.